Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon if you're on the West Coast with me and Leslie. So tonight I'm here with Leslie Fuller from Inspired Senior Care. And you guys, I have been inspired by Leslie. So I'm excited to have you guys listen to what she has to say. This is a first time share of this new product for her. And I can tell you that she has taken every tiny detail from all of the education that she's had over her years and years of experience in the dementia care industry and created this incredible program that's interactive. It is hands-on with you. It's going to be the perfect asset to your care home if you want all of your caregivers to be trained, if you just want yourself to be trained. And she has created a wonderful program. If you have questions throughout the presentation, in the control panel on your right-hand side is a questions tab. You can ask questions and I'll try and answer them throughout. Otherwise, we'll take a little bit of time at the end for Leslie to answer questions directly, and then we can wrap it up after that. But Leslie, thank you for being here with us. And I am so excited for you to share all this. This is the first time I'm seeing it too.
Thank you, Molly. And I have to throw it back to you too. I don't know if you understand how much you have driven me throughout this whole process to really grow what I've done. It started off as a nugget of an idea last March, and now it's getting ready to go into production. So thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Leslie Fuller. As she said, my company is actually Inspired Dementia Care, and my product is called Inspired Senior Care. So if you see a difference between those two, I am a dementia care specialist. It's what I've put all my professional efforts into for the last probably 7 or 8 years. But the product that I'm going to share with you today has dementia care knowledge woven all throughout it. But everything that I teach is appropriate for all senior living communities and shapes and sizes. I will tell you that part of my impetus for starting this really was for all of you. I worked for a large company for 13 years. They had dementia care, senior living, assisted living, SNF all over the country. And I worked in larger memory care. So our smaller ones had 25 residents. I was an executive director of a community that had 55 residents most of the time. So it's a little different creature, but all with the same issues, the same fun, the same staffing challenges, all of that. But when I live here in Las Vegas and I discovered that there were, I think, 220 group homes here in the area, and I was just fascinated by it. And I got started looking into it and realized how hard it is for those group homes to really get quality education for their staff. Working for a large company, we had many of me on staff who were able to go into these communities on a regular basis and train the leadership and the staff. But you all are on a much tighter budget. You have all your irons in the fire. And I realized that what I wanted to do was to bring the great training and knowledge that my company gave to me and my master's program in social welfare focused in gerontology. I really wanted to take all of that and put it in some tools that could be used by everybody, regardless of the size of the community. So what I came up with here is what you're seeing right here. It is called Inspired Senior Care, and it is made up of 12 concepts. I call them building blocks. You'll hear me refer that to today. And these 12 building blocks are pivotal pieces of philosophy, knowledge, information that really, in order to run a community and to be supportive of staff and family and residents and everybody and really have it function as a true community, is what we need to focus on. So I am going to jump right in. Let's see here and share with you. Okay, so Inspired Senior Care is a training program which uses those 12 building blocks that I mentioned to provide continuous and frequent training opportunities for your staff and for you as leaders. Each of the training tools is designed to keep these key concepts front and center and really become a part of the culture of your community. So the first building block is very near and dear to me, and that's language matters. The words that we use in our work not only affect those who hear it, but they affect us. So when we are using terminology that is very old school, very institutional, very hospital-like, we think that way. We think about how we operate. We think about our residents that way. It's important for us to develop a new language and culture that is what we call person-centered. Next is looking at a strengths-based perspective, looking at your community and looking at what the strengths are before we look at what the weaknesses are or the diagnoses are. So if all we're doing is looking at a diagnosis and what the future problems are, we're not going to realize that we have a lot of solutions right in front of us. And that is in the strengths of the people who were there, what skills they have, and let's build upon those strengths before we start looking at what the negatives are. Third is brain change. So if you think about dementia, what dementia is its changes to the brain. And if we don't really have an understanding of how that change happens, we don't really understand what's going on in front of us now and what we can expect to happen for those people who are living with dementia. This is not a huge section. It's not an anatomy class by any means, but it's really important to understand. So for example, your temporal lobes on either side are in charge of speech and language, which is different than your frontal lobe, which is in charge of your executive function, your decision making. So if maybe your temporal lobes have been affected by dementia, but your frontal lobe hasn't yet, you may still be thinking properly, but your language will not be able to relay what you're thinking. So it really helps people to look at dementia differently and look at communication differently, which is our next slide. Once those brain changes are happening, the ability to communicate for that individual changes. They are having to adapt on a regular basis to the changes that are going on in their mind, and keeping in mind they're doing the best they can with the changes that they have going on. So helping staff to understand what those communication changes look like and how we have to change our methods of communication to help support them. The next concept is genuine relationships. Our staff are not just housekeepers. They're not just somebody who comes in and gives them a shower. They really need to develop a relationship. They pretty much live together. So it's important for us to encourage think about you and your best friend, or you and a very close neighbor. What is involved in that relationship? We need to grow that for our residents and for our staff. This is their home, and they need to develop the trust that comes along with those relationships. Another section is meaningful engagement. If you think about engagement, it's everything people are doing when they're not resting. So what is that? I am part of a Facebook page of activity directors, and I oftentimes will see typically a younger activity director get on and say, hey, I have a group of men. Does anybody have any ideas on what we should do for them? And I always respond with, who are the men? Have you talked with them? Have you looked at their social histories? Have you talked with their families? What is of interest to them? There's no such thing as a cookie cutter list of activities for a group of men. We're all unique individuals. So it's really teaching staff to make the engagement be meaningful for that individual. And we teach how to do that. Damaging interactions. All communities have it happen. There are there's a list of them, I won't go through it now, but of damaging interactions that we do unintentionally, but they creep their way into our community life and into our interactions. Studies show that damaging interactions have a more negative effect than positive interactions have. So even though we need to learn, which is one of our building blocks, different ways of improving and creating positive interactions, we have to make sure that we're doing things to get rid and eliminate those damaging interactions if we're going to make progress. The next is supportive environment. There are lots of things about our environment. Think about yourself and think about maybe where you're sitting right now. There are things that affect your mood, that affect your reactions, that affect what you think and do based on what's around you. If it's too hot, if it's too cold, if there's a lot of chaos going on, a lot of noise, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling intimidated, which goes back to those damaging interactions. So we really look at the 4 F's of supportive environment and what we can do to positively impact the environment. She's my favorite. I love her. I feel like she's my mascot. Wildly Curious is her name. And she helps me to explain to staff that when you have a behavioral expression that a resident is going through, they're just, something's not right, that this is not normal for them, their day is off, maybe they're upset, maybe they're pacing, maybe whatever it is that's going on, that you're saying, hey, we need to help figure that out. There are 5 key areas that you need to look at to really be a detective and look into those 5 areas to determine what is it that it's affecting them. Is it physical? Is it emotional? Is it social? Is it overwhelmed? What is going on that we can try to come up with some solutions to support them? And along with that, we have a section called What If. This is full of scenarios, real scenarios that I and other professionals that I've worked with have problem solved these types of situations, and the creativity that we used in figuring out, trying to identify what was going on, and then what did we do to try to help make that better for that resident. And last but not least is well-being. And this is has Eden Alternative, if any of you are familiar with that. It is a part of their foundation. I do have permission to use this. It really looks at as human beings, and this is for us, this is for our staff, this is for our residents, for our family. These are all key parts of us having well-being in life. We all need to have an identity and be connected to those around us. We need to feel safe and secure. We need to have independence, have choice. We have to have meaning. Why do we get up in the morning? What is our purpose? Why are we needed? We all want to learn things and grow. And if you didn't know, people who have dementia can still learn. And then just providing joy, having some fun, having laughter, having friendships, all of that. When all of those factors are addressed, our well-being is lifted. So it's trying to help everybody in the community to understand what are those characteristics and how can we help fulfill those in the lives of our residents and our staff. Whoops, wait, go back one more. Okay, so in my program, we actually have a physical training kit, and I want to go through this with you right now to show how this works. The training kit itself first has a poster series. And this poster series, there's one for every one of the building blocks. And as you'll notice, the colors are all coordinated to go along. Our goal is so that when they happen to see that, for example, this Language Matters poster with that blue, everything that's associated with Language Matter has that color, has that title, so they can make a connection. There are 13 posters here. Right here, well-being through language. I hope you can you see my arrow? I think you can. These are the 12 posters that are designed to be used monthly. So a new one is placed up every month. We don't want you to leave them up much longer than that, because what happens is they become stagnant. They just become a part of the wallpaper and nobody is paying attention to them again. But when that new poster goes up, because of the vibrancy, the color, the characters, all of it, it's like, hey, there's a new poster up. Let's go look at what the new topic is for this month. And then the last poster right here with the black frame, that is the summary poster. It has all of the titles of all of the building blocks on it. That one I actually recommend that people leave up. Have it in a break room, have it in maybe your main meeting room, so that it can be referenced and used as here are the foundations of what we are as a community and the culture that we are presenting and creating. So have that up. So with the kit, it comes with all those posters, and it also comes with 2 poster frames. They're very lightweight. However, you can just, when you open the box, you put it in the frame and you can put it right up then. As an executive director, I remember those times when I got posters, something in like that, and it didn't come with a frame. And then it's trying to decide, what am I going to put it on? Where am I going to hang it? I'll have to run to Michael's and get something. And then you're delayed. I want to take that frustration away from you. So I've included 2 frames that you can have ready to go and to put them up. The second piece of the tangibles that come with this are conversation cards. So with each of these topics, there's a whole lot more to teach than just what's on those posters. That poster whets their appetite. It gives them some ideas, gives them some things that they can go forward with. But these conversation cards are going to help instill the training, and it really expands and gives deeper ideas and more ideas on each of the topics. So if you'll notice, there are 224 cards. It's been a labor of love creating these. Each of the subjects has anywhere from 15 to 20 cards that go with it. They don't all have the exact same number. It depended on the amount of content I wanted. But each card has a no section, which is a point that we want them to learn, something that we want them to think about and chew on. It also has a share section, which really is question-based. It's to get the staff, and it really connects with them. So it takes whatever that topic is that we're trying to address and get them to learn and brings it to them personally. Tell us about how this functions in your life. Tell us about what this positive interaction happens in your life. Where do you see it? So they can really feel what that knowledge is. And then the do section down here is how can they then take that and apply that to the life of their residents. So we didn't want to just throw information at them. We need them to feel it, and they do that by interacting and by talking. So these are really designed to be used in larger communities. They typically have a stand-up meeting every morning, and these are designed to be used in those stand-up meetings. Now you might be saying, oh, my staff won't talk. They'll barely even talk to me. And you might be right for now, but I guarantee you, because a lot of this, well, so much of this helps them to connect to the information, the more they do this, the more they are going to want to be involved. I even encourage, don't just have leaders of the community direct this. Even, you know, if Sarah is one of your top care providers, you can say, hey, Sarah, why don't you do the conversation cards today? Have her lead the conversation. It really does instill, it builds in them being a part of this whole program. So the third part, this is not tangible, but this is hugely important, is the live training. I can give you posters, I can give you conversation cards, but if you're somewhat new to this, how can you just go teach your staff? I am going to teach you first. So included in this kit comes 8 hours of training. I'm setting it up to be done in 2 4-hour trainings. And it's not just for you. This kit includes 3 of your staff, whoever you think are your top 3 leaders in your community, in your group home, whatever you refer to yourself as, receive this 8-hour training that we cover all of this. We cover all 12, not only the 12 building blocks, but then how to go into your community, how to share that information, how to teach that. I highly, highly recommend that you yourself be one of those 3. This is not something that you can just assign to somebody to, hey, go teach this to the staff. It won't happen. You are vested in this, and you are going to be around for a while. Sometimes staff come and go, right? So you don't want to invest all this in that, just them knowing it and leaving. You need to be a leader for this, so that when you come in to the neighborhood, to the community, you can identify something and say, hey, I really like the way you're doing that. That's really showing that you have a strong relationship with the residents. You're going to know the language. You're going to know, you're going to be there to support them. So, and each person who takes that training receives their own certificate, which shows that they are an inspired senior care community trainer. This training certificate is good for 1 year. At the end of a year, I have just a 2-hour refresher course that we'll take again with them, so that they can continue training your staff under this certification. And next is the recognition tokens. I have to thank my husband. This was his brilliant idea. And I do live in Las Vegas, so there's a little bit of a flavor of where I live here. These are actual poker chips. The concept behind these is, imagine you are walking through your group home and you just see this very tender moment going on between a staff member and a resident, or you see them really embracing meaningful engagements. You see them really bringing to life that moment. take one of those chips, and each kit comes with 10 of them. Take one of those recognition tokens and give it to them and say, you know what? Thank you. You really inspired me today. I can tell you that if that were me as a young caregiver, I'm not really driven by money or gifts and things like that. But if I would have received something like that, I probably would have kept it in my purse. And every time I saw it, it would have given me a boost. It would have encouraged me. It's like, I do my job well. And we had a phrase in my company, which was that gets complimented gets repeated. So these really have value. I'm also going to recommend if communities want to have leadership hand these out, or get some and give them to family members. Maybe those, and just tell the family members, hey, when you're really impressed with someone, what they're doing, give them one of these tokens. It's going to have meaning to them for it. Okay, let's see. Also included in this are monthly lessons. I don't know what laws are in your states, but in most states for assisted living settings, there is a requirement for training every month. I am providing you with 12 lessons, fleshed out lessons created by one of my coworkers who is her background is in creating curriculum, and she really helped me put these together in a very usable, consistent manner. So for each of the 12 building blocks, there is a lesson plan to go with that. Along with that lesson plan, there will be a website. When you purchase a kit, you become a member of the website, and on that website, there are going to be video lessons for each one of these lessons. So during that 8-hour class, you're going to go over each of those lessons and learn it all. But let's say it was 6 months ago, and you're now teaching the monthly lesson on supportive environment, and you're trying to refresh your mind on everything that you learned. Pull up this video lesson. It's going to be me, and it's going to be just giving you a refresh of what we went over in that class, what the lesson's supposed to be like, and just to encourage you and to inspire you. That's part of my whole goal with all of this, is to inspire all of you in the important work you do. Last but not least, the kit includes a tabbed binder. So this binder has colored tabs. The colors all coordinate, again, with the color scheme of the building blocks, and I am including the monthly lessons on the website. So when you get that binder, you'll just need to go into the website and print off those lesson plans. The reason I'm doing this is I know myself well enough that I'm going to see a lesson plan and decide, oh, I want to make this better, or I want to add that. Or I also plan down the road to create more lesson plans. So maybe you've got a choice for supportive environment. I'll give you 2 different lessons that you can choose from. So I will be letting everyone know when there are updates. I'll probably do those quarterly to the lesson plans, that you can go in and reprint those as needed. Okay, so that's your main kit. But I also know I have communities that want more. They want ongoing encouragement, ongoing training, ongoing inspiration, and I want to be able to be there for you. I love my job. I loved my job with a larger company. The only reason I left it was I was traveling all over the country for 2.5 years, and I just kind of got worn out and wanted to get to know my husband again. So what this is allowing me to do is to take that training that I was able to do across 13 different states and bring it to you. And so really what I'm offering here is very similar to that. So the first thing that we have, I'm going to have 3 packages. I'll explain those a little bit more in a moment, but 3 different subscription options, which will include different collection of these. First is one-on-one dementia consultations. So every month with this package, every month you could have a half-hour discussion with me or one of my colleagues. They're going to be a team of 4 or 5 of us. In this, if you want to talk about the training program, maybe there's something that you just don't get, or maybe you're not buying into something and you would like me to help you understand a little bit better, or maybe you have a situation going on in your community that you're pulling your hair out, you don't know what to do. If you want a person to really talk through that with you, that's a perfect time for those consultations. Next are live monthly lessons for the trainers. So I do have those brief encouragement lesson videos that I mentioned a little bit ago. Those are all recorded. But in addition to that, if you are a member and have a subscription, we have the live monthly lessons. So what I will do is I will take whatever, I have my own agenda of order of the classes, and I will encourage you to use that. You don't have to. But what I'll do is, so let's say for next month, the topic is going to be meaningful engagement. This month, my live monthly lesson will be all about that class. It will help walk you through exactly how to teach that, what supplies to have ready, what kind of questions may come up, and then just answer your questions about training in general. I want to help you become stronger and better. I have a lot of mentors for myself, and I want to be that mentor for you as well. Oh, also in that, if you want to have a staff, you've got a staff member, let's say, who is not a trainer, but you want them to learn. They're really showing promise. They're really showing interest. Bring them in, let them sit in on that lesson so that you all can then dialogue about it, and they can get that quality training as well too. Next is weekly open forum calls. This will be a once a week call that anybody who is an Inspired Senior Care trainer can be on that call. So you may meet people from Maine or California, Texas, or North Dakota. And it's going to be a chance for us just all to discuss what the training is, or again, same thing as that one-on-one discussion. If somebody wants to bring up a subject of something they've been struggling with, and to really have those colleagues around you. I don't have all the answers. I learn from you all just like you learn from me. So that's available. Also some email support. If you don't want to wait until the next open forum call to ask a question, we do limit that, but there are email support every month. Also a members only Facebook page, which again goes along with the creating a community of you all as group homeowners. So you can learn from each other and support each other. And last, the certification program. I won't go into a lot of details here, but for those communities who really embrace this whole package, this whole program, and want to be considered an Inspired Senior Care certified community, there is criteria to meet. But if you meet that, this badge will be available to you to have on your website, to have on your Facebook page, to hang that certificate on your wall, to let families and people visiting know, hey, we take this seriously. We are senior living and we support those who are living with dementia, because they live in all of our homes, I guarantee it, and to let them know that you all have these programs in place. So what does the pricing look like? So just as a reminder, I'll go through the two different areas. First is the training kit. It comes with all the posters and the frames. It comes with 224 conversation cards covering all the different building blocks. It covers live training for 3 key staff members, not just one, but for 3 people. That's a big deal. 8 hours of training, live training for a staff. I'm huge on live training, if you can tell. I'm digressing here, but just for a moment, as I would go into communities and walk in and see a staff member who was watching a video training that they were required to have, and here's that staff member sitting there, you know, on their phone while the video is going. If I've seen it once, I've seen it a dozen times. I am a firm believer that live training and interaction is where we learn. We don't learn it just by watching a screen. So live is very important to me. So in addition to that, you get 10 of the You've Inspired Me tokens, monthly lesson plans, training videos to help support you and encourage you for those monthly trainings that you're providing, and then 1 tabbed binder to store all of those lesson plans. So the cost of that kit is $22.50 for those who want ongoing, because at that point, there's going to be some ongoing training, but not a lot of live. That's why I have created my continuous growth program. So there are 3 levels in this. First is the inspired level, the basic level. And this is where you start with those one-on-one consultations, those monthly live Zoom trainings where we're going to talk about what the topic is of the month, really dive deep into it, have dialogue, discuss with other professionals to go through that. We provide that email support, and then there's eligibility to get into that certification program I mentioned. The next level up, the professional level, includes all of that, but we have also added on the weekly open forum Zoom. This is your chance to be online with professionals who can really talk deep about the issues that concerning. I won't get into talking about budgets. I don't miss all that. That's not what I'm getting at. What we want to talk about on these calls is helping support your residents, helping support your staff. What is the culture like? And especially dementia care issues. Not dementia care issues, how to work differently with our residents who are living with dementia. They're doing the best they can every day, and using those tools that we teach throughout this program to help support them. In addition to that, at the professional level, it provides a 10% discount on any future purchases. So if you have that professional level, once the renewals come up for certifications, there will be a 10% off for any training. If you want a second kit, whole kit, if you want more conversation cards, if you want more posters to hang in different parts, it would all be 10% off. And then the last level of care is the pro level. We have added on a second 30-minute call. So you have an hour's worth of highly qualified professional dementia care specialists at your service each and every month. We've also increased the number of email support that we're going to provide, and also up that to a 15% discount off of any future purchases you might have. There's another column over here that I didn't put, which is a, what do you want? Let's talk about it. You may all have something different that you're looking for that you would like to get in addition to that training kit, but different kind of support that you would like to have. If somebody's here in the Las Vegas area and they say, hey, Leslie, we want you to come in, train quarterly. Okay, let's work through that. So those are unique situations that I'm happy to talk through with you. So my question to you now, after all of that, and I know it's a lot, it's taken me 6 months to create this, and I'm having to share it with you in about 30 minutes. But by enriching the culture of your community throughout all of this knowledge, this coaching, this training, if I and my team can help you save just one move out, we've all had it. I, as an executive director, had that family that got upset because of how something transpired in the community and they moved out. If I can help train your staff, you and your staff, and we might save one move out, or you have a family that comes in and they see the posters and they see that, hey, they're really, communication is important to them here. Or relationships, wow, this doesn't feel sterile. This feels so much lighter and better than those other places we've gone to. And they choose to move into your community. Or, and almost most important, I see staff members, especially young caregivers who think, okay, I can do this. They're trained on the basics of caregiving in CNA school, or whatever training they had. And then they come in and they're working with individuals who are living with dementia, and they don't have a clue what to do, where to start, how to talk with them, and they get burned out quickly and they're overwhelmed and they quit. If I can help you have one of those staff members not feel as overwhelmed and decide to stick with it and not leave, if I can even do one of those things for you, is this program worth that price? And just one last point I'd like to make, dementia care specialists. I am a part of a very large group across the country of specialists, and depending on where they are and what they're doing, their cost is anywhere from $75 to $200 per hour to support and to teach, whether it be group homes like yours or assisted livings or work with families. And the larger companies who have a full-time professional on staff, I'd say the minimum probably is about $60,000 a year to have that staff member there. They're quite valuable. Our program brings this kind of training into your setting with visual tools, with discussion tools, with live training and ongoing support. And to support you when you're pulling your hair out. Trust me, I've been there. I know how that goes. The team that is working with me and have committed to providing this coaching, this counseling, the group of us have over 80 years in the field of senior living and dementia care training with specializations. I have an occupational therapist on the team, hospice workers, an end-of-life doula. I have an educator. I have a woman who ran her own day program or operation. a curriculum designer, and a master's in social work. We're all here for you. We want to be your specialist. So with that being said, Molly, I just want to let everybody know that if you are attending the RALNA convention this month, I am so psyched to be there. Again, I wouldn't be there if it weren't for Molly. She helped me work through that. I'm going to have a vendor table set up. I'll have all my posters. I'll have the cards there, the tokens, give you a chance to really touch it and feel it and experience how this can be there for you. So Molly, that is it.
Yeah, and you did such a wonderful job. You would never know that this is a new program for you. I mean, obviously this is years and years of everything that you've learned, so you know this stuff like the back of your hand, but you've now combined it into this wonderful program for everyone else. And you guys, I will tell you this, for me, the reason it stands out so much is because it's very catered for what we do. Right? She comes from the big box industry, but it's very catered for that intimate, small boutique environment where you have that more person-centered care naturally because it's a smaller environment with less people and less caregivers, and it's a much more family-like environment. So the way that Leslie talks about her training and the way that she's presented this training is very different from a lot of the bigger training programs that you'll see out there for dementia care training. And it really set home with me and made me feel like this is something we need to promote. And that's why she's going to be at the convention. That's why we're doing these webinars. And you're going to see a lot more of Leslie with us, because I can't thank you enough for just looking into this and creating something like this, because there's so many times where I talk to people who are used to working with big box communities, and they don't want to think outside of the box. They don't want to scale down. They don't want to do anything that fits this market specifically. And you came into it wholeheartedly knowing this is the market that you want to be in. And this is why, because you have experience in the big box industry and you've seen the downfalls and the things that we're missing. And so I want to thank you for that too, because this is great.
You're welcome. I'm so excited. Thank you for giving me this opportunity today.
I don't have any questions coming in yet, so you must have done a phenomenal job just putting all of your information out there appropriately. But you guys, Leslie, do you have a page with your information on it, or I can send it out with the recording?
Oh, well, my gosh, I did not put that on the bottom of here. Yes, wow, totally missed that. My website is inspireddementiacare.com. If you just want to put that in the chat. I have a brand new website that is like 95% done. I'm working with the designer right now, but that site you can learn a lot from. It just has kind of a splash at the front that tells you about my new program coming up. But if you flip through the pages, you can really see I've laid everything out there for you, kind of my background, and there's just a lot of helpful information that I would love to be there for you and have that page available for you.
And I will, before we wrap things up, I will say, you guys, a lot of times people are hesitant because they don't know what the use of this will be long term for them. And this is the issue that I saw with some of the other trainings that were out there, was that you take 1 8-hour course and you're certified and it's done. And it's like, well, how are you creating a person-centered environment in your care home? How are you creating a lifestyle for the people who work and live in your care home if it's not constantly in front of you and constantly being reinforced? You know, it's one thing to say you're certified and you have a certification after taking an 8-hour training. It's a whole nother thing to show your families and the people who come into your care home that you instill this in your caregivers every single day, and it's a lifestyle for your care home. It's not just a one-time training that they take to be certified because you're dementia care training there.
And you know, Molly, I'm glad you said that. I had forgotten to mention that part of the reason I came up with this was back when I was working for the large company, and I had a 2-day training that I did for all leaders of the communities and all new leaders. And it was I love the training. A lot of what I do is a lot of that. But at the end of the training, I would have people come up to me and say, oh my God, this is wonderful. This is awesome. Can you come train my staff? I'm like, no, I teach you, so you then go out and train. And we had some lesson plans, but that was it. They kind of had to do it in their own way and on their own. We did not give them enough tools to really go out. And that has stuck with me. And I thought, if I can just create those tools so that I don't have to, I'd love to come to all your communities, but I can't, right? So, but if I can create the tools that are there and that are constantly available to reinforce it, how much easier that will be for the people. And you all have a lot of responsibilities. Training your staff is only a piece of it, right? I just want to be able to give you the things that's going to help keep that going.
Which in return keeps your residents happy, keeps the residents' families happy, and keeps those employees that you have, those caregivers that are working their butt off day in and day out, happy because they have this great environment where it feels like you care about the people in your home and you care about the success of how they do. And, it can be difficult, especially when someone has dementia or any kind of cognitive decline. So once again, this is phenomenal. I love it. I think it's phenomenal. So I'm going to keep promoting it. You guys will see more of this, and I'll send out the recording tomorrow. So Leslie, thank you for being here with us.
You are so welcome. Thank you for having me, everybody. Nice to meet you. Looking forward to meeting you, I guess.
Yay!